Hello again, everyone. Good evening. My name's Nicole, and welcome back to our English class. I hope you have all had a chance to practice some of the rejoinders or some of the phrases that we talked about in our last lecture. I bet if you did, your conversations have been feeling much more lively and engaging. Now, last time we learned how to be a great listener and reactor. We learned how to keep a conversation going by showing our interest in the current topic. And then today we are going to talk about the next important skill for maintaining a conversation, which is, of course, knowing how to change a topic. Now, look at our new slide, maintaining or carrying part 2. A conversation is a lot like a road trip. So sometimes the road you are on is beautiful and interesting, and you want to stay on it for a long time. But what happens if, the road gets boring or if it leads to a place you don't really want to go? So you need to know how to turn and find a new road, right? Now, that is exactly what we are going to learn how to do today in our conversations. Knowing how to change the topic is an incredibly important skill, and it is not about being rude or uninterested. It is about being a thoughtful conversationalist. There are many reasons why you might want to change a topic. Maybe the current topic has run out of steam and you have both already said everything there is to say, or maybe the topic is making you or the other person uncomfortable or sad. For example, if a friend is saying or is talking about something negative that happened, and you want to gently shift to a more positive subject. Maybe you suddenly remember something important you want to talk about, and you need to find a smooth way to introduce it. Okay? Or maybe you just want to add some variety and liveliness to the conversation so it doesn't get boring. Okay? So, have you ever been in a conversation where there was an awkward silence? No? That moment when no one knows what to say, and you just like stare at each other. One of the best ways to prevent that awkwardness is by knowing how to smoothly change the topic. No, it shows that you are in control of the conversation and that you can keep it flowing naturally. In this lecture, everyone, we are going to look at different strategies and phrases you can use to change the topic without making it feel forced or sudden. We will learn how to use transition words and phrases that act like a bridge from one topic to the next. For example, instead of just saying, uh, let's talk about something else, we will learn to say things like, that reminds me, or by the way. So these phrases help you move the conversation along politely and gracefully. So get ready to learn a new skill that will help you prevent awkward silences and make you a more confident and more thoughtful communicator. This is a very practical skill that you will use in every conversation, from a casual chat, especially with a friend, to a more formal discussion with a new acquaintance. Okay? All right. So, those things that I've mentioned, we are going to do that today in our session. You're going to be introducing, or I am going to introduce you, the different phrases that is still under maintaining or carrying a conversation. Okay? Is everyone ready? Okay, let's dive in and learn how to master the art of changing the topic. Okay? All right. Um, let's immediately go over with the next one. Okay. We are going to have our first phrase. Okay? Look at our slide. The first phrase we are going to talk about in this session is a very useful and polite one, very simple also. By the way, think of a conversation like a journey down a long road. You might be enjoying the scenery, but eventually you want to see something new. When you say, by the way, it is like a signal to the person you are talking to that you're about to make a small detour. So it's a very natural way to change the subject without it feeling rude or abrupt. So instead of a sudden U-turn, it is a gentle turn at the next intersection. Now, this phrase is a bridge that smoothly connects two different topics. The new topic you're introducing might be completely unrelated to the current one, or it might be something you just remembered because a small detail in the conversation. No, because of a small detail in the conversation. So when we try to use this phrase, by the way, this is a sign of a good conversationalist. Okay? It shows that you are being thoughtful and that you are managing the flow of the conversation really well. You're not just waiting for the other person to stop talking. You are actively finding a way to continue the conversation in a new direction. Let's look at some detailed examples of how to use this phrase in different situations. First example, I'm going to write it down here so that you are guided. For a moment, let me just adjust the font size. Okay, I think you can see it there. So, yeah. Example 1. Not another, but first example or first situation is when you remembered something. The I just remembered scenario, where this is one of the most common ways we use. By the way, you are in the middle of a conversation and something the other person says, or just a thought that pops in your head, it reminds you something else you wanted to talk about. The new topic is not necessarily a reaction to the current one, but a new separate idea. Okay, so the first one is what we call the I just remembered. I just remembered, scenario. This is examples or situations. Okay, first is the I just remembered scenario. Say, for example, you can imagine you're talking to a friend about your favorite TV shows. Your friend would say, I've been binge watching that new K-drama and the ending was just perfect. I love it when the main characters finally get together. And then you will respond, I know, right? That show is so good. The soundtrack is amazing too. Oh, by the way, did you know that the new coffee shop near our school finally opened? We should go check it out after class. Now, in this example, friend B used by the way to smoothly transition from talking about the K-drama to talking about a new coffee shop. The topics are completely different, but the phrase, by the way, it makes the transition feel natural, not jarring. Okay? Alright. Next example, maybe for this one, or let's just move on to the second example or second situation. I think that would be better. Okay? Number 2, let's just say, the second situation is when we try to move on from a stale topic or from a boring topic. So this is what I call moving on. The moving on from a stale topic scenario. Okay? Here, sometimes the conversation has simply run its course. So you have been talking about the same thing for a while and there's nothing new to say. So using by the way, it is a perfect way to shift to a fresh new topic without making it seem like you are bored. Okay? Let's say, let's have an example. Let's say you and a classmate have been like oh, ouch. Sorry for that. Let's say the situation here is that you and a classmate have been talking about a difficult exam that you had. Friend A would say, I'm just so tired from studying for that exam. I don't even want to think about it anymore. And then friend B would say, yeah, me too. I'm just glad it's over. By the way, did you hear about the school fair happening this weekend? I heard there's going to be a lot of food stalls and games. So here, friend B, the second friend, or the second line, she uses the phrase to kind of like change the subject from a stressful topic to a more exciting one. Okay? So the phrase, it acts as a signal that the conversation about the exam is over and it's like time to talk about something new, something more positive. Okay? And then the third scenario is this is what I call the introducing a topic after after a natural pause. Okay? So okay, let's just put the scenario here. Oh no. For a moment. Okay. This is our example or situation 3 where we can use the phrase. Again, this is the introducing a topic after a natural pause scenario. Now, sometimes conversations have like short natural pauses. So these pauses are normal, okay? But they can sometimes feel a bit awkward if they last too long. So using by the way, it is a great way to fill that silence with a new topic. Now you can imagine a conversation that you are having with your friend. You and your friend are just maybe you are just sitting together, and then the conversation slows down for a moment. No, there's a natural pause in there. Friend A, for example, would say first, the weather has been so hot recently. And then a short pause follows. Friend B here would say, after a natural pause, by the way, did you remember to bring the book we need for our class presentation tomorrow? Something like that. So in this case, the phrase, it helps friend B restart the conversation with a new topic. It prevents that awkward silence, and it shows that friend B is thinking and wants to continue the chat. The secret of using by the way, especially using it successfully, is on to have the right tone of voice. So you should say it in a casual, friendly way. It's like a very low pressure phrase. I'm sorry. It's a low pressure phrase, by the way, and it does not demand an immediate specific response. Now, the person you are talking to can just respond to the new topic you introduced. Now, let's practice this. I'm going to give you a current topic and a new topic. I want you to create a short sentence or two and use by the way to smoothly transition. Okay? For example, current topic would be as simple as maybe last night's dinner, and then a new topic in that conversation that you're having, so that you can use the phrase by the way, is maybe a plan for the upcoming weekends. So the dialogue here would be like this. Let me just guide you. Instead of making the sentence, let me just guide you. For a moment, let me adjust the font size so that you can see it clearly. So yeah, I'm gonna give the dialogues. You can practice this in your respective homes, no, if you're comfortable enough. All right, for a moment. Let's just say um A, okay, friend A or A, as simple as that. A would say, I had pizza for dinner last night. It was delicious. And then, how would you use by the way? You can say it like this. By the way, I'm gonna highlight that one. Okay. By the way, I've been so not I've been so I've been so ano sorry, that is not the second focus, right? The second focus, again, the first focus or the first topic is on last night's dinner. And then the new topic is plans for the upcoming weekend. So let's just say I had pizza for dinner last night. It was delicious. By the way, what are you doing for the upcoming weekends? Okay, so in this case, you can shift or you can change from one topic to another. No, especially if you notice that the conversation is really not going that long, it is not continuing, it is almost ending. You can change the topic so that the conversation can still flow. Okay, that is how you can use this particular phrase, although it looks so simple, but it functions a lot of things. It helps the conversation to maintain and to carry it. Okay. Another example for this, but I cannot how do you call that? I cannot really write it anymore here, or maybe I can. Okay, but just write it. I'll just move this here, and then I'll change the font size to a smaller one for a moment. Okay, maybe this one you can still see it clearly, right? Okay, example 2. Let's just put it B. The current topic is a celebrity's new movie. Okay, a celebrity's new movie. And then the new topic would be how busy you are with work. Okay? All right. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to, compose a whole message or a whole line, or dialogue for that. Again, the current topic is a celebrity's new movie. Second topic, or the new topic, is how busy you are with work. Okay? Please do that in 30 seconds, starting now. All right, time's up. Let me see. I guess you're still shy. All right, sige. I will be the one to provide the dialogue, but please read the whole dialogue there in your own comfortable spaces. Okay. All right. Again, the current topic is on a celebrity's new movie. And then the second topic or the new topic is on how busy you are with work. So you can use or you can create a dialogue like this. That new movie with my favorite actor is good. And then after that, you'll use by the way to introduce another topic, which is how busy you are with work. You'll say, By the way, I've been so busy. I've been so busy with all my um with all my let's just say work responsibilities. Okay? Work responsibilities. All right. Let me read the dialogue. That new movie with my favorite actor is so good or is good. By the way, I've been so busy with all my work responsibilities. Something like that. Lately, okay? Lately. Again, let me read it. That new movie with my favorite actor is good. By the way, I've been so busy with all my work responsibilities lately. Okay? There's no R in there. Lately. All right. So here we use that phrase by the way, and using by the way, it is a fantastic tool, especially to keep your conversations flowing smoothly and to show that you are a thoughtful and engaged speaker. So it is a simple phrase that makes a big difference. Okay? Next, we'll talk about another great phrase for changing the topic, which is anyway. Very simple, only one word. Anyway. Now, anyway is a powerful phrase, if I may say, because it signals to the other person that you are like ready to wrap up the current discussion and move on to another. It's like you are putting a neat little bow on the current topic and then saying, okay, we're done with that now. Let's talk about something else. No? Anyway, something like that. So this can be a very useful phrase, especially when a conversation has gone on has gone on for too long. So it has gone off topic and it is starting to get a little bit awkward. Okay? So the key to using anyway effectively is to understand when and how to use it. It is not a rude way to interrupt someone. Instead, it is a decisive way to redirect the conversation after a point has been made or a pause has happened. Using it correctly shows that you are in control of the conversation and that it can keep it moving in a positive direction. Now, there are three main situations where anyway is a perfect phrase for you to use or for us to use. Let me put it right here for a moment. Let me adjust the font size. Okay? Three situations. Three main situations. Okay? Situations. First is if you want to bring the conversation back to the main point. Now, in here, this is one of the most common and polite uses of anyway. Have you ever been talking about something important and then you or the other person you are talking to gets like sidetracked off topic? You start talking about something completely different and then suddenly you have forgotten what the original topic was. So the phrase anyway, it is the perfect way to get back on track. For example, you can imagine you and maybe a friend are planning to have a fun weekend trip on the beach, or not just you and your friend, you and your family. You get sidetracked for 5 minutes talking about your favorite TV show, no? And then friend A would say, you are the friend A. You would say, you talk about the movie and the finale was so good, something like that. I can't believe the show ended like that. It was the best season by far. You would say it like that. Friend B would try to bring the conversation back to the main point by saying, I know, right? It was so satisfying. Anyway, back to our trip. What about the bus tickets? Did you already buy them? Okay, something like that. So see how friend B used anyway to gracefully go back, to gracefully move on or stop from the side topic, which is the TV show, and then go back to the main topic, which is the trip. So this makes the conversation productive again and shows that you are focused on the task at hand. So the phrase it acts like more it acts like a verbal bookmark which reminds you of the point where you left off. Okay. All right. That is for changing the topic. Not changing the topic, but bring the conversation back to the main point. Again, there are three main situations. First is bring the conversation back to the main point. And then second is we try to end a long, tedious, or lazy, or boring topic. No? We try to end that. You can use anyway. So sometimes we get stuck in conversations about things we don't really want to talk about. So maybe a friend is talking for a long time about a project you are really not involved in, or a friend is telling a story that you just won't end. That just won't end. So anyway, it is a polite way to wrap up the subject and then introduce a new, more interesting one. Okay? For example, let's say your friend would say, so after I finished this draft, maybe a classmate, so after I finished the first draft, I had to edit the second paragraph 3 times, and then I changed the font, and then I realized the first sentence didn't make sense, so I had to rewrite the whole thing. You, as the one listening to that, you'd say, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. Anyway, are you going to the basketball game this Friday? I heard our team is playing the top school. In this case, your use of anyway gently signals that you have heard enough about the project and that you are ready to move on. Okay, you are not being rude. You are simply steering the conversation in a more engaging direction. The key here is to use a positive, friendly tone so that it doesn't sound like you are being dismissive. Okay? All right. Number 3, you try to cut off an awkward or uncomfortable topic. This is one of the most powerful uses of anyway. Conversations can sometimes go to places we don't really want them to go. There are times that the one we are talking to is, mentioning sensitive topics. Maybe someone accidentally says something that is, as I've mentioned, a little insensitive, or the topic becomes tense or negative. Using anyway can be a great way to change the subject and bring some positivity back to the conversation. For example, imagine you are talking to a friend and they start talking about a recent argument they had with a family member. So the topic is making you both feel a little bit sad and uncomfortable. You can try to fix that by using anyway to shift or to change the topic of the conversation. You would say, of course, you will still acknowledge the situation. You'd say, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you can fix things. And then, anyway, I have a quick question about our next. Okay, something like that. Okay? You use anyway here. You're showing empathy first by saying, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then respectfully change the subject to something neutral. No, this is a very skillful way to handle a difficult situation without being confrontational or rude. So it allows you to protect the mood of the conversation. Anyway. Alright. You might get confused with anyway and the first phrase, by the way. Well, it's important to note the difference between the two. By the way, everyone, that is for a gentle transition. It is often used to introduce something new that just came to mind. It is very casual, it is very low pressure. While anyway, on the other hand, it is for a more direct, decisive transition. It is often used to end a previous topic that has run its course and to steer the conversation in a new direction. Okay, so both phrases are excellent tools, but they have different purposes. You can think of, you say, by the way, as a new thought you are adding to the conversation, and anyway as a way of concluding a topic and moving to the next. Okay, let's practice this. I'm going to give you a scenario, and then I want you to use anyway to change the topic. Try to choose a new topic that fits the situation. Okay? Maybe a friend is telling you a very long and confusing story about a movie they saw. You want to move on. How would you say it? align, or yeah, align. Using anyway. None? Okay, let's just move on. I know you're doing that in your own comfortable space there. Okay? All right. As you can see, or as you can hear from what I've mentioned, anyway, it is a powerful phrase for managing the flow of the conversation. It shows that you are confident and that you are a thoughtful speaker. So that is anyway. Next to that is this phrase, oh, I almost forgot. It is a good phrase to use when something suddenly pops into your head that you don't really want to talk about. So it's a very polite way to introduce a new topic, even if it is completely unrelated to what you were just saying. So the beauty of this phrase is that it is a natural excuse for changing the subject. You are not saying I'm bored with this topic. Instead, you're saying my brain just remembered something important and I have to say it now. This makes the person you are talking to more receptive to the change in topic because they understand that you have had a sudden realization. Now, the key to using this phrase effectively is to make it sound genuine. The O at the beginning and a slight change in your tone of voice, or even a small gesture like a tap on the head, it can show that you have had a moment of sudden memory, no sudden remembering. This makes the phrase feel very authentic and natural. Okay? All right. Some situations that would include in this one. First is on remembering situations. Remembering an important appointment or plan. Okay? Remembering an important appointment or plan. Now, this is a very common use of oh, I almost forgot phrase. You're having a conversation and then you suddenly remember something important that you need to do or that you and the other person you are talking to were supposed to do. For example, you imagine you and your classmate are talking about your plans for the weekend. Then classmate A would say, "I'm so excited for the weekend. I'm finally going to get to. I'm finally going to get to relax and play video games." Okay. Classmate B would say, "That sounds awesome. I'm going to spend my weekend studying for the big exam." And oh, I almost forgot. What time were we supposed to meet with our group project for with our group for the project tomorrow? Something like that. You try to this. You try to do what classmate B did. She uses the phrase to politely interrupt the conversation about the weekend and bring up a new, more urgent topic. No, the phrase it signals that the new topic is something important and that it just came to mind, which makes the transition feel natural and not abrupt. Okay. Next to that is second, sharing a piece of news. Okay? Sometimes you might be in a conversation and suddenly remember some exciting or important news you wanted to share. You'll say, "Oh, I almost forgot." That is a great way to introduce that news to the conversation. Okay? You can use, "Oh, I almost forgot" for that. Next situation, number 3, is remembering a task or request. No? This phrase is also perfect for when you suddenly remember something you needed to do for the person you are talking to. It's a very thoughtful way to handle the situation. Okay, so these are the different situations you can use. Oh, I almost forgot. These are just the main situation, but there are many actually. Okay, I just included the main situations or the common one. All right, let's move on immediately to the next phrase. Okay, so far we're getting really good at this. We have learned a few great ways to change the topic smoothly from the gentle. Let's go over that. By the way, to the more direct anyway, and to a more reactive. Oh, I almost forgot. Today we are not today, but at this time we are going to learn a phrase that is very similar to "Oh, I almost forgot," but it had a slightly different and very useful feel. Okay, look at our slide. Before I forget. Again, before I forget. This phrase, it is a fantastic tool for when you use it when something comes to mind that you want to talk about and you want to say it right away so you don't lose the thought. While the phrase before this, the one with "oh, I almost forgot," that phrase, it implies that you just had a sudden memory. You just remembered something at that moment. But before I forget, it is a little more proactive, meaning that it is a way of saying, wait, I have something important to add and I want to say it now while it's fresh in my mind. So using before I forget, it shows that the person you are talking um, to that new topic is important and that you are being considerate by bringing it up at the first opportunity. So it's a very polite way to insert a new idea into a conversation without it feeling like an interruption. It acts as a verbal placeholder, signaling that a new important piece of information is about to be shared. Okay, let's look at some examples or situations, just like with other phrases, situations for on how to use this phrase in different contexts or situations. First is sharing a quick piece of information. So here, this is a perfect use for the phrase before I forget. You're having a conversation and then you remember a piece of information that the other person needs to know. It might not be directly related to the current topic, but it's important enough to be shared. Okay? Before I forget. Aside from that, we also have um, making a request. Okay? Making a request. Here, it is the phrase is also a great way to make a request without interrupting the flow of the conversation too much. You can use it to ask for something you need or to ask for help with something. Okay? Making a request. And the third and last one is reminding someone of something important. Okay? This is a very considerate way to use the phrase. You can use it to remind someone of something they might have forgotten. So this shows that you are thoughtful and that you are looking out for the other person. Okay? All right. These are the situations we can use for before I forget. Okay? Again, before I forget this phrase, it is a polite and effective way to change the topic. It shows that you are a thoughtful and engaged speaker and that and that you have learned now 4 excellent ways to change the topic, right? 4 different ways. Let's add one more. With that. Okay? Let's look at our slide. The phrase is, it's a little off topic, but so this phrase is a powerful tool because it is a self-aware way to change the subject. So when you use this phrase, you are showing the person you are talking to that you are aware that you are about to change the topic and that you are essentially giving them a heads up and asking for their permission to move on. So this makes the transition very smooth and considerate. Okay? You are like, it's a great way to introduce a new idea that has no connection to the current conversation. You can think of it as polite warning label where the label says, I know we were talking about something else, but sorry for that. Again, I know we were talking about something else, but I have a new thought I want to share with you. Something like that. It's a little off topic, but so this makes the other person more receptive to the new topic because they appreciate that you were thoughtful enough to signal the change. So this phrase is especially useful in situations that are a little more formal, or when you are talking to someone you don't know very well, as it shows that you are a very polite and skilled conversationalist. Okay? Let's look at some examples or situations where you can use this particular phrase. Again, situations. First is the direct and polite topic change. So this is a perfect use for changing the topic directly and politely. You are like in a conversation about one thing, and you want to ask about or talk about something else that is completely unrelated. The phrase allows you to make this shift without like feeling abrupt. No, you try to ask the other person still, especially the person you are conversing to. Okay. Aside from that, first is direct and polite change or topic change. Next is shifting. Shifting to a new idea in a professional setting. Okay? Here, this is good to use in more professional or formal conversations. It shows that you are respectful of the current conversation, but also have an idea you want to share. Okay? So that is for the second one. And lastly, we have transitioning from a stressful or boring topic. Sorry, boring topic. Okay, transitioning from a stressful or boring topic. So this phrase, it is useful for when you want to change a conversation that has become stressful, a conversation that has become awkward. So it gives you a way to kind of like introduce a new topic without making the other person feel like you are bored, without making the other person feel like you don't care at all. Okay? For example, let me write it down for you so that you can clearly see what I am talking about. Let me just adjust the font size. Okay? For example, you can imagine, no? You can imagine you and a friend are talking about for a moment. Okay, I'm sorry for that. Let me continue again. Imagine you and a friend, maybe you are talking about a difficult project. Let's just say project, difficult about talking about a difficult project that that you both just look. Friend A would say, um, I'm so worried about my project. I think I made a lot of mistakes. I'm so sorry, I really have to pause sometimes. You'll say here, maybe me too. You agree to your friend about that. I'm just trying. Oh, I'm sorry. Me too. I'm just trying not to think about it anymore. No? Here you will use, it's a little off topic, but it's, sorry. I really have a hard time to get too familiar with that. Okay. All right. It's a little off topic, but I know. Yeah, it's a little off topic, but have you seen the new episode of that TV show we have been watching? Oh no, what is happening? TV show we have been watching. It was so good. Okay? All right. This is the conversation. We have friend A would say, "I'm so worried about my grade. No, about my project. I think I made a lot of mistakes." You'll say, "Me too. I'm just trying not to think about it anymore." It's a little off topic, but have you seen the new episode of that TV show we have been watching? It was so good. So here, friend B used the phrase to transition from a stressful topic to a more light-hearted one. The phrase it acknowledges the current topic, but it also gives a clear signal of it's time to talk about something else. Okay? All right. Now, so far, we've tackled about four, I think, if that I'm not mistaken. Yeah, four different phrases. No, five different phrases. Okay? We have this one. It's a little off topic, but so this is a direct and polite way to signal a change in topic, especially when the new topic is like it is completely unrelated. It shows self-awareness and respect for the flow of the conversation. Another is by the way, which is a more casual and gentle way to introduce a new idea. It is often used when a new thought comes to mind that is not connected to the current topic. Anyway, that phrase anyway is a more direct and sometimes more abrupt way to end a topic, that especially the one that has run its course. So it is used to steer the conversation in a new direction. And then the other two, oh, I almost forgot, or before I forget, they are used when a thought or an important piece of information suddenly comes to mind. They imply a sense of urgency. Okay? All right. Okay, great job, everyone. As you can see, especially for this phrase, it's a little off topic, but, sorry. Okay, let me just move it. So, especially for this topic, for this phrase, it's a little off topic, but this is really a great phrase for when you need to politely and directly change the topic. So, it is a sign for a great conversationalist. Like we have now learned five excellent ways to change the topic. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the next phrase on the brighter news. Again, on the brighter news. This is a fantastic phrase to use when a conversation has become negative, it has become sad, it has become stressful, and you want to like gently guide it toward a more positive direction. So here, it is a very considerate and empathetic way to change the topic because it shows that you are aware of the mood of the conversation and that you are trying to make it better. It's like you are turning on a light in a dark room. Okay, so the phrase itself is very clear and it signals your intention immediately. On the brighter news, it literally means let's talk about something more positive and cheerful. Okay, it's a kind and thoughtful phrase to use, and it's a great tool for a conversationalist who wants to make sure that the people they are talking to are comfortable and happy. Okay? All right, let's look at some situations here. Again, situations. First is, of course, changing a topic from a bad day to something good. Okay, changing that. This is the most common use for on the brighter news. You and a friend are talking about your day, and then it's clear that it was stressful or bad one. You can use this phrase to bring up something more positive. Okay. Next is, okay. Let me give you an example for this one. Changing a topic from bad day to something good. For example, I'm still gonna use the term friend. Your friend would say, I'm just so tired. I had a project in every class and I feel like I didn't do well in any of them. Friend B would say, I feel the same way. It was a really long day. On the brighter news, I heard that the school has a fair. I heard that the school fair is happening next week, so I am so excited to check it out. Okay, in this example, friend B used the phrase to change the topic from a stressful one, which are quizzes and a bad day, to a more positive one, which is the school fair. So the phrase shows that friend B is not dismissing friend A's feelings, but it is instead trying to improve the mood of the conversation. Okay? Another situation is when you try to shifting or changing from disappointing news to something cheerful. Okay? Sometimes a conversation can be about something disappointing or sad, like a cancelled event or a game that was lost. On the brighter news is a perfect way to move past the disappointment and focus on something happier. Okay? For example, let's say you and your friend are talking about a party that was cancelled because of the bad weather. Your friend would say, it's such a bummer that the party was cancelled. I was really looking forward to it. And then your friend or you, no, as their friend, you'd say, I know, me too. Other brighter news, a new movie with our favorite actors is coming out this weekend. Maybe we can go see that one instead. So here, friend B used the phrase to change the topic from a negative one to a positive one. No, the phrase shows that friend B acknowledges the disappointment, but is also trying to find a new fun plan. Okay? Another situation is you try to transitioning from a You transition from a serious topic to a personal happy one. Okay? So this phrase can also be used to change the topic from a serious or sad news story to something more personal and happy. This is a very kind and empathetic way to communicate as it shows that you are trying to make the person feel better. For example, the situation here that follows transitioning from a serious topic to a personal happy one. You can imagine you and your friend are talking about sad news story, and then you both heard on the TV or the internet, if not the TV. Friend A would say that news story was so terrible, it's so heartbreaking to hear about what happened. And then friend B would say, I agree, it's just awful. On the brighter news, I saw your post on social media. Congratulations on your new award. That is so great. So in this example, friend B used the phrase to change the topic from a sad news story to a personal happy one. So the phrase shows that friend B is empathetic but also wants to celebrate their friend's success. This is a very useful and thoughtful way to communicate. Okay? All right. And lastly, this is the last phrase of the day for a moment. Okay, again, this is the last phrase for the day. Very simple. Guess what? Again, guess what? This phrase, it is still with the same phrases that we've already talked about. This is a powerful way to get a conversation started in a new direction. So it is a signal to the other person that you have something important, something exciting, or something surprising to share, and that you want their full attention. The phrase itself creates a sense of suspense and it makes the listener curious about what you are going to say next. It is a great tool for injecting energy and enthusiasm into a conversation. So guess what? It is perfect for sharing good news. It is perfect for telling a surprising story. It is perfect for introducing a new idea with a lot of enthusiasm. It is generally not used for bad news, as the phrase itself has a very positive and exciting tone. Let's look at some detailed examples that I have here for a moment. Three main examples or situations. First is sharing exciting news. No, as simple as that. Sharing exciting news. This is a perfect use for guess what? You have something great to share and you want to build a little excitement before you say it. The phrase gets the other person's attention and makes them feel happy for you. Okay? All right. For example, here, imagine you and your friend are talking about your plans for the weekend. Your friend would say, I'm just going to stay home this weekend and watch movies. I'm so tired. And then you would respond, I feel the same way. But guess what? I just found out I passed a difficult math examination. I was so worried about I'm so relieved. So in this example, friend B used the phrase to change the topic from a boring one, which is staying home, to a very exciting one, which is passing an exam. The phrase creates a fun, positive energy that is contagious. Okay? All right. Okay. For a moment. Next to that is introducing an interesting story or fact. Okay? Sometimes you want to share a fun fact or a funny story that you just heard and you want to get the other person's attention first. So guess what? The phrase, it is the perfect way to do this. Okay? Still with your friend, you and your friend are talking about your favorite foods. For example, your friend would say, I could eat pizza every day. It's just the best. And then you would say, I agree, it's so good. Guess what? I just read an article that said our school is going to have a new cafeteria soon and they'll have a lot of new food choices. So in this case, friend B used the phrase to share an interesting piece of news that is sure to get friend A's attention. So the phrase builds anticipation and makes the other person excited to hear what you have to say. Okay? Aside from that, third is a fun way to ask a fun way to ask a question. I'm so sorry for that. Anyway, let's continue. Another situation is a fun way to ask a question. You can also use guess what as a fun and engaging way to ask a question. So this works especially well when you want to talk about something that you know the other person will be interested in. For example, um, still with you and your friend, you are talking about the weather and you want to ask them about maybe a new group project you're working on together. So friend A, she would say, it's so hot today, I wish it would rain. And then you would say, yeah, me too. Guess what? I have a question about the group project. Did you get the email from our teacher about the new deadline? Here, friend B used the phrase to grab friend A's attention before asking a question. It is a very useful and active way to engage the listener and make sure that they are ready to hear what you have to say. Okay? All right. So how to use this phrase? Guess what? Sorry for that. Especially when it comes to comparing it with other phrases. So it's important to understand the subtle differences between the phrase and the others we have learned. For guess what? It is an attention-grabbing, exciting phrase for when you have a piece of news to share. So it's a very proactive way to change the topic. On the brighter news, it is used to change the topic from a negative one to a positive one. It is a very empathetic and empathetic and kind phrase. By the way, it is a casual, gentle way to transition to a new topic. Anyway, it is a more direct and often often more abrupt. I'll just say abrupt way to end a topic that has run its course. It's a little off topic, but that's the phrase before this. It is polite, it is warm, and way to signal that you are changing the topic. Okay? And then lastly, oh, I almost forgot. And before I forget, are used when a thought an important piece of information suddenly comes to mind. Okay? All right. Let's have our final practice for changing topics. I'm going to give you a scenario. I want you to use guess what to change the topic to a more exciting one. Okay? All right. What do you think? Maybe let's have a practice. Can I just put it here? For example, um, let's say scenario one. You and your friend are complaining. You and your friend. You and your friend, sorry, are complaining about a difficult class you both have. You want to tell them about a surprise party that is being planned for another friend. Okay, let's just use one scenario, okay? Because this is already too long. Okay. All right. The scenario is that you and your friend are complaining about a difficult class you both have. You want to tell them about a surprise party that is being planned on another level. Okay? When it comes to this, everyone, you just use any kind of phrase that is fitting for this subject or for the message. Okay? We have now learned 7 excellent ways to change the topic, and you all have full toolbox of phrase to use. Okay? Before that, let's try to summarize everything. Okay, you can now use by the way for a gentle transition. Use anyway for a more direct transition. Use oh, I almost forgot before I forget for a sudden memory or proactive reminder. And then you use it's a little off topic, but for a polite and self-aware transition, you can do that. And then use on the brighter news for a kind and empathetic transition from a negative topic. Okay? All right. Again, that's the on the brighter news. You turn something wrong to something good or positive one. Okay? So you use only on the brighter news for a kind and empathetic transition from a negative topic to a positively one. Okay? All right. And finally, use guess what for an exciting and attention grabbing how do you call that, transition. Okay? All right. So mastering these phrases is not just about memorizing everyone. It's about knowing when and how to use them, knowing how to make your conversations feel natural and respective or engaging. Okay? We have now officially finished our section in the rejoinder, not rejoinders, but changing the topic. Thank you for all for your hard work and participation. Well, next time we'll move on to a new section, our conversational English lesson. Okay? Where in this case, we are going to talk about, or we'll move on to a new section of our conversational English lesson, where we are going to talk about something good, questions to keep the conversation going. See you all then. Okay? All right, everyone. Let's continue with our lesson on maintaining a conversation. No, we're not going to continue. It's almost time. No, it's already time. So we just finished talking about a very important skill, changing the topic. We now have a full toolbox of phrases from by the way to guess what. Well, those phrases are greatly for smoothly guiding a conversation. The other half of being a great conversationalist is knowing how to keep it going with the person you're talking to. So the next skill we're going to focus on is maybe ask for more details. Let's just see. You can think about the conversations you have with your friends. Do you like it when you're telling the story and the other person just listens and doesn't say anything? Or do you like it more than they nod their head, ask questions, and show that they're genuinely interested? Okay? Alright. Continuing with Ms. Nicole's discussion, especially when it comes to this idea, hedging or murdering. I say murdering. I'm so sorry. That's not the word. I don't know why it came off from my mouth. Okay? I'm really so tired now. Anyway, what did I mention? Okay, I forgot about it too. Anyway, let's just move on. So, thank you so much everyone for being here with us or being here with me for this particular session. Okay? All right. Um, okay. Yeah, that is a wrap up for today, everyone. Thank you so much for your sorry for that. Thank you so much for your participation in this class, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye for now, and good night ahead, everyone.